Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Mary Charlotte Grayson, Director of Events for the National Indian Gaming Association. Thank you so much for joining us today for our exciting and informative webcast series, Tribal Gaming and the New Normal, with your host, Victor Rocha. Today's discussion will focus on sports betting and the importance of mobile gaming. But before we introduce our presenter, I would like to go over a few housekeeping items to keep in mind. All audience members are on listen-only mode, which means you are muted. We will be monitoring audience engagement on the dashboard and do encourage you to participate by using the question panel. There will be time for questions at the end of the presentation. We are recording this webinar and you will receive an email with a copy of the recording so that you may listen and refer back to it anytime. This webinar, as well as others in our series, will be made available on our website, indiangamingtradeshow.com, under the Education tab in the coming week. Without further delay, let me introduce Victor, Conference Chairman with the National Indian Gaming Association and editor of Pechanga.net. Victor, take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mary Charlotte. Thank you, Ashley, in the background. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Victor Rocha. Welcome to our webcast, The New Normal. This is Jason Giles is not here today. He kind of had an emergency. The weather's starting to change in Washington, D.C., and they had to get down to the office and take care of business. So unfortunately, Jason's not going to be with us tonight, but we do have a great guest. Our guest today is Chairman Rodney Butler, of the Mashantucket Pequot tribe from Connecticut. Chairman, welcome. How are you doing?
Wiki, so good day. Good to see you, Brother Victor.
Always good to see you, man. It's really fun. So it's the end of a year. My God, what a year, huh? Jesus.
You're telling me. You know, it's a year that never ends, and we call it COVID time, right? When we think we had a meeting, it was a week ago, and it was really 6 months ago. Just the way this thing is dragging on, and I think we're all grateful for the end of 2020. Looking forward to the much success and health and happiness in 2021, but it certainly can't come soon enough.
Oh my God, it's unreal. You know, this time last year, I was thinking of going to London for ICE and doing business, and with the world was our oyster, right? It was just a doorstep, for the expanse of tribal gaming, and just kind of everything just comes crashing to a halt. I think globally, I haven't been on an airplane since I stepped off on February 8th. So I've been home all summer long. It's the first time in 20 years or something like that I've been around. Yeah. You would, and my poor wife, she has to deal with me now. Fortunately, I'm a workaholic and I'm in my office all the time, so she gets me.
Yeah. Well, Victor, I'll give you some perspective. A colleague of mine reached out earlier this morning. He was like, "Hey, Rod, I see you guys are getting, and to your point, Jason's not on now, but we're getting hit with a blizzard essentially in the Northeast, getting 12 to 18 inches of snow." And they're like, "Rod, I feel sorry for you. How much more can you go through?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me? 18 inches from a blizzard after what we've been through? This is easy." So
I think that's what the Donner Party said right before they took off. This is nothing. We can make it through this, Yeah. Well, let's Chairman, first of all, again, thank you so much. And there's so much to talk about this, especially, I look at what has changed and it's really just everything, but in a way, it really brings us back to our fundamentals, the fundamentals of the business and running it. But look at in California, we're dealing with curfews and stay-at-home warnings, and so the pain is being shared all the way across Indian country. Although today I saw this wonderful picture on Twitter with the Bay Mills tribe receiving a shipment of vaccine for the tribe. So on one hand, there's all the end of this gruesomeness, and on the other hand, there's so many reasons to be optimistic now. You know what I mean? So what are you hearing in Connecticut? What yesterday the numbers came out. I know that was pretty bad for Connecticut. I know it was bad for Massachusetts. What's happening in the COVID the COVID situation in the Northeast corridor?
Well, yeah, no, Victor, you pointed it out that there are like cracks of light coming through this very, very long, dark tunnel. But the unfortunate reality is we still have a long ways to go, right? I mean, as the vaccines are rolling out, and similar to the other tribal leaders across the country, we're in line for our first batch. We're not sure when it's going to come in, but hopefully it's in a few weeks. But it may be a few dozen uh, vaccines that we first get access to. Again, we're a smaller nation. We only have 1,000 members, and so that'll ramp up over time. But it's going to be several more months of this, and a lot more pain that we're all going to feel. And we're working with our state delegation down in D.C. to advocate and working with NCAI and NIAG and everyone else to advocate for the next round of CARES funding and making sure that tribes are included in that's going to be critical to help get us through this. But again, there are cracks at the end of the tunnel that we should all be optimistic about and at least look forward to and stay focused on where we need to be. And that really comes full circle with the conversation we're having today and talking about the opportunities in sports betting and iGaming and the like, things that you and I and others have been discussing for a few years now, and the importance of it and to get ahead of it. But like every other facet of our economy, this COVID crisis has really brought technology to the forefront and advanced the use of technology in ways that we've never seen. And gaming is needs to be in that same position and needs to catch up to that. Unfortunately, many of us didn't have it in place pre-COVID, but when you look at numbers like you referenced, we just announced our slot numbers for November. We were down 40%. We were
I saw
down
that.
20. We were down 20% in November. Yeah, we like everyone else had a decent summer. People were feeling comfortable. They were outdoors a lot. They had extra money from the unemployment supplement and the like. But wallets have tightened up, and they've tightened up across the country. And there's tribal leaders that I've talked to in a few select markets that are still doing incredibly well, and God bless them. But many of us in a situation where, like the rest of the economy that has real touch points and people interacting with people are scared, and rightfully so. And so they're not going out as much as they had been. So it's painful, and that is even more reason why in our industry we need to have those serious conversations now about sports betting and iGaming.
Yeah. Before we dive into sports betting, are you optimistic about this new administration coming in and being a little more helpful? I think that'd
I
be a good
am.
word.
I like many leaders have had the fortunate opportunity to speak with the Biden transition team. I've been on larger calls. I've had the direct calls with them as well, and really talking about and we're a glaring example of the politicization of the last administration. What happened
Oh
to
yeah.
us in Mohegan, jointly with our commercial friends that attacked us and used politics in a way that we've never seen before. Not that we've never seen it before, never so overtly seen it before, where it was in your face, like, no, we're actually going to change our decision that we've already given you because of political influence. I mean, it was fascinating. I mean, and I would liken it to, and certainly much more severe to my dear friends up at Mashpee, but getting their land taken away from them after it being awarded to them. I mean, it was just the things that we saw in that last administration are the likes of what we haven't seen in decades, based on the progress that we've made as Indian people with the federal government. And so I'm optimistic that the incoming administration has a better understanding and appreciation for Indian country and sovereignty in itself and what self-governance means and their role in supporting that. And so, yeah, it can't get any worse, Victor.
Well, you know what? I mean, they just announced, Zinke, the former Secretary of the Interior, his official portrait was him riding a horse named Tonto, and
Yeah.
that's going to be hanging up at the Department of Interior. So, they said what they were going to do. They broadcasted that they were not going to, deal with us in a manner that was professional or government to government. You know what I mean? It was very patronizing and that granted he wasn't there, I think, but Bernhardt was, no worse. Now, let's talk about sports betting for a second. First of all, congratulations on your new deal with DraftKings. Can you tell us a little bit about this deal?
Yeah, so we have been looking at sports betting for some time, actually prior to PASPA even being overturned. because we knew it was coming. We actually, in some of our lending agreements, we actually had carve-outs for sports betting and iGaming 10 years ago in anticipation, because it was always on the cusp of happening, and it just needed something to break through. And unfortunately, it was COVID that has really broken through from an iGaming perspective to make it a reality that we need to implement this. So we went through a long vetting process, and we talked to all the bigs, right? I mean, DraftKings, William Hill, Rush Street, PointsBet, and several others. And for us, it was we were going back and forth between a decision on, do we want to partner with someone? Do we want to own the technology in-house? And every tribe is going to have to go through this. What's the best path for them? It's certainly not the same path for all of us. And at the end of the day, we felt like the brand that we've created in Foxwoods, a powerful brand we've created, and the brand of DraftKings was an incredible partnership. And the fact that they got us, I mean, you've had Jason Robbins on a few times. He went to college in the Northeast and used to go to Foxwoods when he was in college and played poker there. So he knows us, and he knows what we're all about. He appreciates and respects the tribe, respects sovereignty, most importantly, and understanding that in order to get into Connecticut, they had to work with the tribes because of our exclusivity. And so all of those things came together into this beautiful partnership that we've now formed, which is going to be successful for all of us, and including the entire market. And hopefully, as we did in the 90s, when we were a guiding light for Indian country and what the art of the possibility of what could be in resorts, we're now doing the same when it comes to sports betting.
By the way, you still are a guiding star. You guys still are a North Star for tribal gaming. You know what I mean? You guys have, like I said, I was just there a year ago. Wow, I was just there a year ago, and it was just such a beautiful and such an impressive property. And
but I would, Victor, I would add to that though that at one point we were that star, but the beauty is we have a galaxy now. We have come such a long way. When you look at tribal gaming at large, and it's just as large, if not larger than commercial gaming. I mean, we have our own galaxy that is of success, and we got to build upon that. So it's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, you know what? After you signed this deal with Foxwoods, I noticed a lot of the articles, and then we're talking of the fact that you guys don't have sports betting legislation yet. And the politics of Connecticut have been very fascinating for me. And by the way, I saw you last week in an interview that you did over in the museum with Kathy Austin and stuff like that. And that was a great interview. I really enjoyed that. And that was about, you know what I mean? If the viewers don't know, but you guys are doing some legislation about teaching the history of the tribe in the curriculum in the public schools. And I thought, that seems to be what the end game has always been about. You know what I mean? Is about making sure people understand who and what we are. And, we've talked about a couple of times about the story of your people and how dramatic and important it is, and how important what you have become for this industry is a story of resilience, the story of survival and success. And yet here we are again with the challenges of this new millennium. You know what I mean? 2000 is just, starting off with 9/11. But, I think, sports betting has taken us back down to the essentials again. Just like everything else in our industry, I think we're stripped down back to our essentials and our essence of what we are for gaming. And I think sports betting is a very, very important component about this. Now, jumping real quick. So, one of the other things another big announcement this week was about the East Windsor casino deal that you were going to do with Mohegan. Can you tell us a little bit about this and what this means?
Yeah, I just want to highlight just a beautiful point that you just made, though, Victor. And you and I have had these conversations publicly and privately on numerous occasions. But I point to my background, and that's our Skumitsin, that's our powwow, that's the circle right there, and that's what all this is really ultimately about. Building strong nations through strong economies, and so that's gaming is the foundation of that for those that have that, and it's been a blessing. And we need to expand upon that so we can strengthen our communities first and foremost. And we always keep that as our North Star. And I appreciate you pointing out the video, the interview that I did last week with Kathy Austin, our unofficial family member for all of Indian country. She's such an incredible advocate.
She's wonderful.
Yeah, she is. So, difficult times, right? And so we, like many tribes, we've had to pause some of our major capital investments. And I always like to use the analogy of when you're on an airplane and they're going through the safety procedures, and they describe, if the cabin pressure drops, put on your safety mask first before you help the person next to you. And unfortunately, that's where we're at. That's where all of us are at. We've just been fortunate enough to be able to manage through this better than most because we have the means to, and we're blessed in that sense. But the state of Foxwoods, the fact that we were down 20% last month, 40% this month, we simply can't move forward with another development project in the state of Connecticut in this market until it stabilizes. And the beautiful thing is that in speaking with the delegation from East Windsor about that project, they were entirely understanding and appreciative that we were very upfront with them and said, look, until we have a for sale sign on the property, we're committed. It's just a matter of timing. And right now, when you look at you mentioned the performance in Massachusetts and the closure in Rhode Island right now, we just can't expand the market physically and put up hundreds of $millions of capital that could be at risk. And again, it just reiterates the need to have online gaming and online sports betting. And I think that's missed a lot in the conversation. There's so much excitement about online sports and sports betting. It's sexy, it's fun, you get to bet on your favorite team. There's not a lot of economics in there for us as operators, right? Very thin margins. The value there is the data that you're collecting, the little bit of profitability that you can make, as well as the ability to drive people to your physical property. And if you're able to launch online gaming, to launch them to your online space as well. And you're seeing that in markets in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. The astronomical growth in online gaming has really balanced out the physical closures of properties in those markets.
Yeah, well, one of the big news this week has been the tribes in California submitting 1.4 million signatures for a sports betting referendum, initiative, which will change the constitution in California to allow sports betting. And that's going to be a really big deal. That's what everyone's going to be talking about. Hopefully, we'll be talking about it in the next couple of weeks also. But let's talk a little bit about mobile and what that means for tribal gaming now. It's been the thing that tribes have tried not to talk about. You know what I mean? It's just like, but the pandemic has really showed the promise of mobile and the opportunity. Like you said, you look at the numbers and the New Jersey miracle, $1 billion in revenue. You know what I mean? And it's very impressive. I think it's very impressive for the amount of revenue that's generating. And it also is a little scary for me in the sense that I think everybody looks at gambling as the easy money and they don't think about the effect of, crowding the market and what that means, the lifestyle issues and stuff like that. But I think mobile does present an amazing opportunity for the tribes. But yet we still have some issues with IGRA and stuff like that. So how are you guys going to be dealing with this stuff?
So again, it's different for every market. I hear you on the point of there can be an overcrowded market. And we're fortunate in Connecticut to have dual exclusivity between us and Mohegan and working with the state. So we can control the markets to some degree in the sense to protect ourselves and protect our revenues. Because I get it. There is certainly a real concern about opening up online gaming and the impact that it could have on your physical properties. But what we've seen in New Jersey pre-pandemic was that there was little impact on the physical gaming operations. In fact, you actually saw growth in the physical properties in New Jersey. And again, they only have 13 properties in Jersey, so it's a different market again, compared to other tribal markets. But it was actually a complementary feature because, like I was saying earlier, you're building that data, you're building the stickiness and the loyalty to the site when people are at home and off site that drives them back to the property. And so, for example, in our deal that we have with DraftKings, we're starting off with fantasy. They have an amazing fantasy sports platform. And immediately we're going to be sending offers to those daily fantasy players to entice them to come back to the property with hotel offers, food offers, gaming offers, and the like. And so that alone it has incredible value to all tribal operations. If you can have more touch points with your patrons and make it more sticky and make them more engaged on your property, and you can get them to come back to property. So if you do it in a controlled fashion, it can be beneficial to all. And when you look at what happened, you said the miracle in New Jersey, right? So I love data, because we all have opinions, but the data it tells you the truth. And the fact that in our market, we were closed for about a month and a half, us in Mohegan and Connecticut. New Jersey was closed for 2.5 months, right? A month, essentially a month and a half more than we were. And when you look up until November, up through October, the 9 months of their operating year, as an overall market, New Jersey was only down 3.5%. Now, they were closed an extra month than Connecticut. Connecticut, overall as a market, was down 30%, right?
Wow.
We had an extra month of operations. And how did they do that? How did they bridge that gap? How do they sustain that? By online gaming. And now they're seeing post-opening that, in addition to the physical properties doing well, the online gaming and online sports continues to grow to the point where it's almost a 50-50 split. And they're seeing year-over-year growth until this last month. So it's amazing. And for us in this market in Connecticut, if we were only down 3.5% in the last 9 months versus the 30 that we were, that's $60 million to the state of Connecticut. $60 million if we were able to stabilize that. And so again, just reiterates, we're ordering food online, right? We're shopping online. We're communicating online. That's just where the world is moving, and we should get in front of that. We should be pioneers like we are in this industry and be ahead of that.
Yeah, and you really, if you drill down, what you're really talking about is the importance of mobile now. The importance of we're using this phone as it's supposed to be using, as this amazing resource to contact our customers, to keep in touch with everyone. And I'm still waiting. I remember like 10 years ago having these conversations that you would walk into the casino and your RFID would set off, and a robot would come and give you a drink, another one would come and put a sports betting card in your hand. But you know what? That's going to happen still. It's still going to happen. You're going to see more of that. But mobile, it just allows us to really have that connection. I've always felt that we've underutilized this amazing resource, and now we're starting to understand the true potential of this. What other people in the industry have learned a long time ago, we're finally catching up to. You know what I mean? But that has a lot to do with our industry itself. We're very cautious, we're very conservative in how we move a lot of ways, and and especially tribal gaming. We're just very conservative. We've been tricked once or twice before. Sorry, I immediately started thinking of Chief Dan George and Josie Wales. You know what I mean? I didn't surrender, but my horse did. So
we've been tricked before, and we'll certainly be tricked again. So good to be cautious, but that's why I think what you're doing, Victor, is so important in tapping into tribal leaders and tribal operators and sharing our stories. I've always been open to that. I learn a lot from all of our brothers and sisters out there in Indian country, and I love sharing our mistakes at Pequot and our successes at Pequot. And so I think that's how we build that mindset that what, we are going to get tricked, but together we can outsmart anybody.
Right.
And again, we can be pioneers in gaming that we are.
Well, so you are absolutely right. The thing about tribal gaming that I tell people about is actually tribes in Indian country specifically is that when they go for Mohegan, or if they go for Foxwoods, or even Wampanoags, there's always somebody around that is going after them. They can't chop a head off, because we all like-minded. There is no real leader. There's no head to chop off. There is just the tribal mindset and the will to survive. And that is the essence of Indian country. And that is really what we're talking about here, is survival, because that is what sports betting and mobile is offering. Yeah. That's what happened in New Jersey. You know what I mean? And it is bad enough. A lot of these companies are international. They're bleeding money in Las Vegas. They're bleeding in Macau. And yet, here's something that is offering an opportunity. While I was talking, one of many thoughts that went through my head, but how's the governor dealing with this? The governor of Oklahoma.
So
Connecticut.
Connecticut.
Sorry, I'm part of the Texas lawsuit. You know what I mean? So I figured we could just.
Well, look, both governors have been almost as adversarial to their
Oh,
tribes, but,
shit.
but I'll say
Let's talk about
it's been
Oklahoma, actually. You know what I mean? If we
yeah.
can't get in trouble, he's not our governor, so we can
Yeah,
talk about that,
exactly.
guys.
Now, look, it's good trouble, right? That's what we say. It's good trouble.
We can talk about sports
So
tech.
yeah,
Sorry.
so it's
No, just
interesting.
kidding.
So in speaking with the governor, it really, in fairness, given benefit of the doubt here, it was an educational process. New governor, new administration, a lot of turnover in the legislature, and it was a learning curve. And they didn't fully understand and appreciate what Pequot and Mohegan had done for the state of Connecticut. They didn't fully appreciate the complexity of our arrangements, and they had no idea what sovereignty meant, right? Let alone they had no idea. And so, going back to your earlier point about education, it was critical, and it took longer than anybody would have wanted it to take to educate them on what sovereignty means, what that government to government relationship really means, what our compacts mean that have stood strong for the last 30 years and generated almost $8 billion to the state of Connecticut. And so between continual flooding of information, a pandemic, a fiscal crisis. I mean, Connecticut this year has a $900 million deficit in this budget cycle. In the upcoming budget cycle next year, we have an actual biannual budget, so it's every 2 years that we approve. We have a $4 billion deficit that we're facing. And so there's a lot of pressure to focus on new revenue sources. And for us, it generates an opportunity to put, what we're proposing, i.e. iGaming and sports betting, as a new revenue source versus the state raising income taxes or gas tax or the like. And so when you look at it from a constituent's perspective, they would much rather prefer going with our options as opposed to being taxed once more. So, long answer to your question, we've made progress with the governor, and he's definitely more of a partner now than he has ever been, and he's said publicly he's committed to getting something done this year with regard to iGaming and sports betting.
Well, I thought some of his response to the East Windsor casino deal was interesting. He seems to be more amenable now that that's off the table, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, look, he's always made the point that he was concerned about getting sued by some of the commercial entities coming into the state. And again, it was more so because he didn't fully understand the agreements that we had in place and the strength of those agreements and the laws behind them. Having East Windsor pause probably makes it a little bit easier for him. But at this point, he's really focused on, the crisis the state's in and how to solve it. And what better way to solve it than with his existing partners that have been proven partners that, by the way, as many, tribal leaders know around the country, we can do this anyways. So like either you're going to do it with us or we're going to do it without you. Right.
Right. Well, you guys have created such a great resource over there for your tribe. So it's always amazing to me that the ramp up for politicians seems to be so long. You know what I mean? And especially, if you look at this last administration, you see the feedback the tribes are getting in Arizona and and in New Mexico for getting out the vote and stuff like that. And it's like every 4 years, the people are it's like they have amnesia and they forgot about us, and we have to re-educate them every time. It's like Groundhog's Day, or a memento. We have to write it all over our bodies so that we'll write it all over. Oh yeah, tribal sovereignty. That's right.
Yeah.
You know what? Listen, Sherman. This is going to be a short one. Jason couldn't make it, so I wanted to talk about the importance of sports betting. I wanted to talk about the importance of mobile and what it means to us and what it means to tribes in the future. And like I said, right now in California, we have we just submitted 1.4 million signatures for the tribes to do sports betting and what that's going to mean down the road. So we're going to have this conversation more and more. So I think people are going to be looking to your tribe, because people are going to be looking to you guys again as a leader in the industry and showing people what can be done and how to put these deals together and the importance of them and why mobile is the future of sports betting for gaming.
Yeah. Look, it's strength in numbers. So the more of us that are moving down this path, the more influence that we can exert on our states as we're negotiating, right? And so for me to be able to say the Michigan tribes have figured out how to do this, the Arizona tribes have figured out how to do it, we can as well. And there's a lot of tribes that are in the midst of negotiations. And so again, I'm an open book, and I love sharing our story. I'll even look. You can contact me directly, Rodney Butler, Foxwoods.com.
Oh,
You know,
wow. You
Victor,
did that, didn't you?
and I
Wow.
did, because it's that important right now, and this is an incredible opportunity. Everything's moving mobile, and we need to take advantage of it and seize the moment and seize our opportunity so that we can build those strong economic foundations that will preserve our nations into perpetuity.
Well, sir, one the things that we have important right now is our sovereignty and our knowledge. You know what I mean? Our historic and cultural, but also our business. And you've built an amazing business over there. The world has changed around you, but again, the fundamentals of your business are still strong. We're in the middle of a pandemic. This isn't anything anyone has done wrong. It's just the world is upside down right now. But like you said, there's cracks in this darkness. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not necessarily a train. I think there's some really good things coming down the road. Seeing the footage of taking the vaccines to the Navajo reservation, or the helicopter touching down in Bay Mills to bring the vaccine and stuff. These are the beginning of this new, I should say, this new beginning in 2021. So 2020 was just a really gruesome year, sir. But I think 2021 is starting to look up. I think having an administration that is that has an open door for us, having the annual meetings and stuff like that, I think it's great. Having Kevin Washburn up there on the transitional team is phenomenal. I have nothing but complete and total faith in him and his work and his intellect. So, I'm very optimistic for 2021. But, also, I think it's wonderful that you put your name out there, because I think it's important that the tribes know that we do have a leader in the industry that is reaching out, and you've never turned your back on us. And I really appreciate that, as a friend and as a fellow Native American. I really do appreciate that.
Absolutely, brother. I appreciate you. I have tremendous respect for you. So.
All right. Well, listen, Chairman Butler, thank you so much. We appreciate this. We're going to do a little shorting. I'll let you off. I'm sure you're very busy. I'd like to thank our viewers. I'd like to thank everyone in the back, Ashley and Mary Charlotte. Sorry, Jason couldn't be here. So everyone, thank you very much. And happy holidays, happy Hanukkah. I believe it's like the 6th day of Hanukkah or something like that. I was 7th. Yeah, I'm pretty close. I know I'm not that far off. So everybody, happy holidays. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks. Bye.
Indeed. Thank you and be well.